Good morning, everybody. So we're on week 6 today. Can you believe that? Well, last week we were embracing change and we were talking about um, staying resilient. So this week, week 6, it's about production. It's time management of what we're doing with our time. And that's important. So I'm going to give you a scenario on that of what we're doing with our time. And we're talking about time. What we mean is when we're not working, our time belongs to us. So when you take individuals that are working, they're going to clock in on time, they're going to follow an agenda. If you're a worker, a blue collar worker, anything, wherever you work, you're going to go in and out to a schedule of when you're supposed to be there, and then you do your job and you follow an agenda, and in return, you get a paycheck, health care, all the things that your job offers you. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the time, and does your time have an agenda? And that's where it comes with time management in our lives, having a routine that in our life that we benefit from. Today, good morning, Farm Girl. Good morning, Brian, Kelly, everyone who's here. I appreciate everybody that's in here. So it probably looks different around me, as you can see. I am outside of Dulles Airport this morning at a property where we're going to be doing some work, and we have a walk here today. But this program is important to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss time management on our journey on the 6th week. Time management. So when we're off work, of what routine can we build? What schedule do we want to build? I've said in the past, show me your schedule and I can show you your life of what's important. So what ingredients are we going to need in the time management? And back to good morning, everybody. Back to what I was talking about this morning at this job moments ago. All these people were parking and coming in because it's a construction project. So these guys are carrying lunch buckets. They're carrying their tools of the day, everything they're going to need. They're going to go in and they're going to show up to the job to do what needs to get done. And that's how we need to look at ourselves. When they clock out, then they're clocking back into life. And when you're living life and you're not on a schedule, what schedule could you apply with gratitude and knowledge, thinking ahead of knowledge to grasp and control how your evening's going to go or how your day off is going to go? So when you have a day off, you're clocking into life. That's what you're doing. When you have a day off, you don't have to clock into work, but you're clocking into life. And that's what week 6 is about. Week 6 is about time management and managing our time, and manage our time through purpose, knowing that we have purpose in our life. And our purpose is to be happy, to be gentle, and to be aware that our minds were developed to always look for danger, to always look at what's wrong. But that took a long time. That's through evolution. But now we're looking for validation. We're looking to be accepted. When humans originally, we lived in groups of 30 to 50 people, and we were in a hierarchy, and somebody would have to, be in charge, or somebody would have to, be better in comparison to others. And we don't have to live that way anymore. When we're off and we have time off to live our life, we want to be visible to our own selves that we are worthy to have peace in our life, to have tranquility in our life, and to start through journaling of where we want to be and where we want to go. We can take initiative to live a life that's prosperous to us in well-being. So here we are, week 6. We're talking about time and productivity and staying proactive to live the life that we need to, which means we have to be mindful, we have to be grateful, and we have to realize that when we're not working, that we are the people that are in charge of our schedule. And we're going to do that by knowing what it is we need. We can't give ourselves and our energy up to appease other people. We can't make ourselves uncomfortable to make somebody else comfortable. And that's something that we need to think about in our time off. When we're doing things for others that we really don't want to do, but we're just doing it so we're accepted. Once again, that's just we want to be accepted as humans. But first, we need to sort through our personal lives and our schedule of what's important and how does this benefit with me besides being accepted. Remember, you're not going to go out and just collect off of a tree peace or validation. This is something that comes through self-exploration and being bored sometimes. Yeah, I said it, to be bored. Because when you're bored, you don't have your phone. You don't need to pick your phone up. You'll see people walking and they're looking at their phone. They come to a stop sign, they're looking at their phone. They come to a stoplight, they look at the phone. Before they can cross the street, they're looking at the phone. To always stay in touch, because when you're not bored and you're looking for something to do, you can always pick up your phone. And in that way, you don't have to deal with your life. When you're journaling, and find yourself in a quiet moment, you want that thought to come through, because it's only during the process of boredom and listening to ourselves in our mind do we ask ourselves the big question of what our purpose is. What is the meaning of my life? We find the answers to the bigger questions and ask ourselves the biggest questions when we put down the cell phone, when we're not scrolling, when we're not looking at a TV, when we're not reading a book, having our dopamine coming from somewhere else. It's through boredom. Boredom is scary to people because you might find out you have some old wounds to take care of. You might find out that some things that have happened in your past or with yourself that you're ashamed of or that you just don't want to deal with. So in boredom is something that we should do. We should sometimes drop our phone down. If you have a family, your phone shouldn't be allowed at the dinner table. If you go out with people, I'm there for people with presence. And if I'm going out and I'm going to take the time, somebody wants to go out to dinner with me, then I'm there to be with you, not with you on your phone, not with you staring at your phone, having communication with the real person, eye to eye in front of you. That's what connection is as far as with people. Now everybody's getting their validation on the phone. If I don't have this many people in my room, or I'm not getting that, or I'm not getting a lot of likes, that's how this validation with these phones taking over our mind, which already races without a phone. So you can imagine the amount of thoughts and sometimes the validation that you're looking for inside your handset. Well, when you put it down and you start managing your time, in your schedule of time, just like you would at your job, there's a lunch break, right? So when you're clocking in for your 8 hours, you get this lunch or you get these little breaks. We, when we're not working, have to give ourselves that lunch hour, that break, the break away from our phone, the break away from the race, the break away from all this noise around us, and listen quietly to what we have going on in our head, to deal with our anxiety, to find out where the feelings of inadequacy come from. And if we're not doing that, that it's going to stay there, and it's going to be kept there by all this scrolling, all this checking in with my cell phone, checking in to make sure I'm not missing out on anything. Well, when you're checking in on social media to see if you're not missing out on anything, well, you really are, because you're ended up missing out on your life. Good morning, Shay. On your life. Well, you're missing out on your life when you're not being bored a lot. You have to be bored. You have to have that quiet time. You have to sometimes drop your cell phone. You have to go away from where you're going to get distracted on what your schedule is in your off time. This is what week 6 is about. Week 6 is about time management. And this morning, when I said that here at this job, we got guys clocking in, doing it, they're going to get a break today. And during that break, away from work, they're going to go to their phones. They're going to read paper. But I have some people that will quietly go sit here in the woods and go do something to think about what they might want to do later on. Let's indulge in our lives by giving ourselves power. And where the power exists is not the devices in our hand. Where the power exists is when we're able to face boredom for 20 minutes. When we can do 20 minutes of nothing but facing our thoughts in our head, writing them down, finding where we belong when we're not working, writing a schedule that goes around our work schedule, and finding the time to not allow our energy to be leaked by what we feel we have to do to be validated. To be validated in life, we have to accept our wins and our losses, and we can't go back and fix anything, but we can move forward with resilience, as we talked about last week, and we can look forward to more wins in life, knowing that sometimes it's going to be sluggish. It's kind of like going across the country in a car. You're never going to always be doing 70. You're going to hit construction zones. You're going to go get gas. There's going to be all these little hiccups and things that we need, which are part of the journey. And part of the journey that we're on right now is going to be a mental journey. And sooner or later, you're going to have to stop at a rest area, and you just have to drop everything and think mentally. Daily would be better. Twice a day, even more so. But we really got to give ourselves the time to build resilience up here, to build up into our mind, to realize we've had more successes than faults, to let go of our failures and see them as lessons. These failures, every time you have a failure in life, you drop a little breadcrumb. And when you follow that, you'll see that your life's built on failures, okay, not successes. This program, what I do on YouTube's all 100% built on all of my failures. And it's okay to overthink sometimes. And overthinking is something you want to journey on about, to overthink. But what we want to overthink and what we want to think about are what lessons that we can learn through our thinking and why our thought goes there, and not spend too much time on one thought. Spend time on self-love, self-compassion, what you want to do with your time and with your life. So every day we're back on the trail again. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. We don't need to relive it. But today we have more breadcrumbs from yesterday, more things that we can follow, that when we think back and realize, this failure I had, or what didn't work it out, what it really was, it was awareness. And this happens to us in life. And as we get older, we have more awareness. We have more awareness of where we belong, what we can tolerate, what we should put up with. And this happens in relationships and families, with work, with sometimes even the people that chase the dollar. Realize that as you get older, you need less and you have more wisdom. And what are you going to do with the time? With the time that you have? Having the time that you have, you need to give your mind a break, have the boredom, staying away from validation that you have to chase. You want to wake up with your validation, knowing that, hey, I'm a good person. This is what I like to do. This is where I like to go. And I know that my failures have made me, everything that's happened to you up to this moment is who makes you who you are. We learn these life lessons. So with that being said, let's talk about our schedule. Let's talk about our time off. That's what today's about. Let's talk about our nervous system. Let's talk about triggers. Let's talk about what makes things uneasy in our life. These sometimes are things that we avoid, and we avoid sometimes being bored because we got to be doing something all the time. You'll find in quiet times that you're going to answer the bigger questions in life, the things that really matter in your life are what you're doing when you're by yourself, what you're thinking about, what plans that you're making for yourself. And this is a good thing. And sometimes being bored is scary because it's uncertain when we're thinking about things. But we have to realize that how our minds were built over time, over the hundreds of thousands of years, where our brains developed looking for danger. The people that didn't survive were the ones that thought everything's safe, everything's going to be good, right? But the people that were looking out for danger, looking for things, they were the survivors. And in life, we need to be looking out for things that are going to interrupt us mentally, things that we scroll for, things that we're feeling for, and danger. I think the real danger is overfilling our minds to where we can't concentrate or focus on certain aspects of our life, about how we feel, on what we want to do versus what we feel we have to do. And that's important when we're talking about our free time. In my free time, I'm going to do things that I want to do, not what I have to do. Right now, I'm doing something I have to do, but I also want to be on my live. And that's why it looks a little bit different today. You don't see the board behind me. You don't see anything. I'm out on a project. I have a meeting, which is probably going to land here in the next 4 or 5 minutes. But I wanted to be here at the beginning of this for the people that come in here that want to listen to me, because you want to. You don't have to. It's something that you want to. I hope I say something that resonates with you, to realize that when you're feeling doubt in any aspect of your life, remember that you have control of that. You can have control of how you feel, how you think, and where you're scheduling yourself on your time off. Where you're scheduling yourself on your time off is very important. And to take yourself somewhere. Take yourself somewhere you've never been before through your thought and where you're going to apply your energy and have your prayers. There's all of these things that help you step up to go to better places, because you can definitely control your destination of where you are. You're 100% in control of it. You can't say and find the blame. What you need to have is understanding, not blame to others, or this went wrong because of that reason, or this is not happening because of this person, or I don't have the time to do this one. At the end of the day, we do. We got to find out why we avoid the bigger questions when it comes to ourselves and what our purpose is in our day. And, you can be an exerciser. You could be a person that applies himself to working so much that you miss out on family things. You don't go on vacations. You don't do anything because you won't let yourself go, or you feel that you just don't deserve anything other than this quietness. And finding peace, you don't have to look any further than inside yourself, because you got to allow only you can give yourself peace, and you got to allow you to give it. Give yourself permission to have peace today, to not think about what's going wrong, only to think about what's gone right today. So when you wake up in the morning and something goes wrong, or you burn your toast, or your car doesn't start, that doesn't mean you're going to have a bad day. That just means there's adversity. So you're going to be resilient. You're still going to make it there. There's still some other bread that you can toast. Things can still go right. So you got to stop the path of destruction when it comes to self-love, self-validation. Find the peace within you, find the resilience in you, and also validate yourself that you made it this far, because that's right. It's a bad moment, not a bad day. And sometimes those moments could be just to hold you up, to stop you, to think, bring yourself into the moment. Ground yourself back into life. Find what it is that you need in life. And it's all in here. It's all in here. But sometimes we got to pull the weeds. And the weeds are some old habits of ours, the way we talk to ourselves, the way that we think. How would you talk to your best friend? How do you talk to somebody you really respect? You should be the top person in your life on how you feel about yourself and how you're treating yourself. These are all important lessons. So when we're talking about week 6 here of productivity, I'm not talking about at your job. I'm not talking about cleaning your house. I'm not talking about being productive and going out and picking all the tomatoes in your garden. What I'm talking about is the productivity of what's enhancing your mental thought and yourself, and taking and unplugging yourself for the recharge, taking yourself away from the chores, taking yourself away and taking and unplugging yourself for the recharge, taking yourself away from the chores, taking yourself away from. Here's my phone call, and I'm sounding out. I know it was only 20 minutes. We're gonna have a bigger this Friday to go back in here. I'm getting my call for my meeting right now, and I had to be out here. Sorry to cut you guys short, but this is something that I have to do. Even though I wanted to be back here. I hope everybody has a great day today. My apologies. Now be in touch.